Welcome back, folks. So, as I promised in my last video, today I will be talking to you a bit about the lore for the next upcoming game, specifically the lore for the Iron Wolves. So before I start, I just want to point out that everything we will be seeing in here is not final. The art might change, some of the details, the name, the specifics might change, and you know it's a creative process. So as I keep pushing forward the project, things gets moved around to make better sense of everything, basically. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's start. So the Iron Wolves are an elite force of knights belonging to the house of the Winter Wolf, which is one of the four main ruling houses of the Kingdom of Umbria. The Kingdom of Umbria, it's far from where the event of the current story takes place. So their conflict or problems don't take necessarily place within the story, which is why I don't want to go too much into the details of the dynamics of those four houses, beside mentioning that they've been at war with one another for centuries, and only in recent years they have found an accord to have peace by having a single house ruling over the others every 5 years. How this is chosen is through a series of games, and the winner of these games, these really harsh and competitive games, essentially becomes the next ruling house. So, and that's as much as I want to touch on that side of things for now, because this video is about the Iron Wolves. Their rule spans across the northern eastern Bastion mountains all the way down to the southern Arteria river, and the weather in this region is really quite harsh, right? So this reflects on them as a culture, as a society, as a whole. So others see them quite cold-hearted or indifferent to other people's problems, because their survival always depends on taking care of one another rather than thinking about others before their own needs. Which, yes, as an outsider it might seem quite harsh, but their survival has heavily basically impacted upon this factor. And not only that, but they also have a very strict sense of honor, because it's been honed through their mental and physical strong training. So a lot of it's about honor. It's about honoring themselves as people, and they believe that one of the main creed is to live with purpose or die with dishonor. So, and nobody more than the Iron Wolves follows this creed to the letter. For them, honor is everything. It's above all any of the other four ruling houses, basically. The mountains are actually quite rich with metals, precious metals, so that's their main source of exports, and that actually makes them one of the wealthiest of the four houses. They're only second to the house of the Blood Lions, because they have really fertile ground and they export a lot of food and other kind of luxuries. So they have really good they have their own sort of signature metals and things that are quite what you want to have in your armies, essentially. So their metals are exported not only in Umbria but outside of it as well through commerce. Also, the land has a lot of shrines, usually in shapes of wolves, where pilgrims travels from shrine to shrine to pay homage, to pray, and also as a way to test themselves, because they are often found in really harsh and really perilous place to reach. So this is also quite important, because one of the ways that the iron wolves are chosen is not through nobility alone. In fact, most of them are taken from orphanages or family who could not afford to keep their children, so they either sold them or the family starved away, and the child survived. So they go through a vetting process, which are called the trials of the wolf. So during the trials, usually about the age of 14, each trial consists in putting these children together to leave them alone on the Bastion mountains. So already one of the harshest mountains in the continent, and they're left alone without any weapons or clothes. So their objective is to work together to find solutions and to conquer all adversity. So it is quite a harsh trial, but according to their tradition, it vets the weakest individuals, and they're left behind essentially. So the main things for them would be obviously to arm themselves, to hunt through these mountains. But their main goal is for each one to slay and bring back the pelt of a Bastion wolf. Now, a Bastion wolf is not just a regular wolf. They are particularly they're much smarter than the regular wolf. They are almost twice the size of a regular wolf. They are quite big, and they are a lot more aggressive and pretty much impossible to tame. So maybe with a few exceptions, right? So so these trials, as you can probably imagine, not a lot of these young children makes it out of it alive, but those that do, they basically become quite revered as knights throughout the winter wolf altogether as a house. They become well respected. The only exception to this, if it's only a single child comes back from the trials, and this is because it's seen as almost like a matter of dishonor, because that means that from their point of view as a culture, that they just looked after themselves. They didn't work together as a pack, which again is the main cultural stronghold of the winter wolves, is to be together, to walk together. And to this effect, one of the other creed that they have is that a wolf is only as strong as the pack he protects. So if there is no protection, if there is no looking after each other, the pack is weak and they all die out. So the idea is that you must come back with your whole pack. If there are no deaths, then this becomes like quite a celebrated event throughout the town where they were chosen from. So, and there's lots of celebration. So the idea is that usually the chances to increase their survival if one of the children becomes the alpha of the pack. That's what it's called. So they are trained to push themselves into that role, so that when there is one of these kids that makes it takes charge of it, their survival chances are much higher. So and that usually is because when there is no alpha and one of the wolves shows up, they kind of start to panic, and that usually never ends well. Finally, the one thing that is to mention about this trial is that often there is a type of wolf which is called the Alpha Bastion wolf, which prowls the mountains, and this is a wolf as big as a bear. In fact, sometimes he gets mistaken for a bear, so it's a pretty big wolf. So usually there's nothing nobody can do. Even grown men in armor and swords usually don't make it out alive. So the best way is to just run and hide, or use your your wits to escape. And there's even a story about actually a famous child who made it out of the Bastion Mountains alone with the pelt of an alpha Bastion wolf. But that's kind of seen as a legend, so just to encourage to like the true warrior spirit in certain individuals. So you either believe it or you don't, it's one of those. Last thing I want to mention about the Iron Wolves are the ranks. So when a child finishes the trials and makes it out alive, they're made to be Lupus Pup. That's what they're called. Once they reach a certain maturity, certain age, then they become fully fledged knights, and they become Beta Wolves Knights. That's what they're called. Then in charge of each group of each, shall we say, battalion, it's the Alpha Wolves. And then you have the Royal Knights, the one in charge to protect the royal family itself. And they are the Royal Bastion. And then finally you have the Alpha Bastion, which is those knights in charge, that knight in charge of the whole of the Iron Wolves. And that's really about it, really, when it comes to the Iron Wolves. I could go on more, but I think I don't want to drag on for too long. I want to start giving you a bit of details for the other characters as well first, and then I want to also leave a little bit of mystery and room for the players themselves to fill in the gaps here and there. I want this world to be as much mine as it's gonna be your own. So I do encourage always discussion. If you have any ideas, if you have any questions, whatever it is, you liked the video, you didn't like it, just write a comment and subscribe if you liked it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video then. Take care. Bye.